Hi, I'm Tawanda Ewing, and this is Mindful, a series where I draw from science, engineering, and personal experiences to give you an interesting perspective on everyday life. I hope you enjoy it, and let me know what you think in the comments.
Did you know that we live in a multiverse? Well, certain aspects of quantum physics suggest that we do. If you're into science fiction, you probably know what I'm talking about. But for those of you that aren't, a multiverse is an infinite amount of parallel timeline where every possibility exists. I've spent a lot of time researching the idea of a multiverse, and there's so much more I need to learn. However, I've noticed there's a lack of theories that cover the issue of where an infinite amount of universes would be. To be fair, it's probably not a priority until we can definitively prove that there is a multiverse to begin with. But I don't think that's a reason not to at least try and imagine where one would keep an infinite amount of universes, assuming they exist. So let's get right into it. My proposal of what a multiverse would look like is built on three concepts. The first is the nature of an atom, or more specifically, the subatomic particles that make up an atom. We like to think of them as solid, when in actual fact, it has been proven that they pop in and out of existence regularly. This is because they exist as a wave of probabilities that only become solid once they've been observed. If you did physics in high school, you might recall how light is both a particle or photon and a wave. Really weird stuff, but that's just quantum physics for you. What I want to take from this concept is that because subatomic particles exist as waves of probability until they're observed, you can imagine that every other possible state of time exists in the same space. It's just a matter of which timeline you happen to be observing or perceiving that makes up your reality. In a nutshell, a multiverse is around us, but we just can't see it. Please take a moment to really let this sink in. The second concept is that of a number called the Googleplex. It sounds made up, but trust me, it's real. And it's just a very large number. I'm talking a 1 followed by 10 to the 100 zeros. For comparison, remember the atoms we were just talking about? That are the building blocks of our reality, but pop in and out of existence regularly? Well, there are an estimated 10 to the 78 to 10 to the 82 atoms in our observable universe. In words, that will be 10 quadrillion vigintillion to 100,000 quadrillion vigintillion atoms. So you get the idea. This number known as the Googleplex is just massive. Now, two mathematicians by the name of Antonio Padilla and Rhea Simons from the University of Nottingham suggested an interesting thought experiment that involved this number. It basically states that given the number of atoms in the observable universe and the number of allowed configurations or permutations of these atoms based on the laws of physics, which are both smaller than a Googleplex, if we were to travel a Googleplex meters along a straight line in any direction, you would end up right where you started, Pac-Man style. What I want us to take from this concept is a question we can keep in the back of our minds as we move on to the third concept. That question is, what would happen if I had a device that could zoom in the Googleplex times and I pointed it to the space right in front of me? The third and final concept is that of a fractal. Now, this one is going to be easy to explain because I can also just show you what it looks like. Fractals are infinitely complex patterns that keep repeating themselves over and over in an ongoing feedback loop. They're used to model certain structures we observe in our world, and they're also just cool to look at. So, with these three concepts in mind, let's get back to the question of zooming in a Googleplex times into the space right in front of you. Given that all the timelines exist as waves of probability in the same space, perhaps what you would experience is something not unlike the fractal. As you zoom into the microscopic scale, and then the atomic, right down to the subatomic, where everything simultaneously is and isn't, everything still makes sense to some extent. Then you keep going beyond the subatomic, And as you get closer, you start to make out some lights, which become galaxies as you continue to zoom in. And then look, there, you see the Milky Way galaxy, and you zoom right into it, past the many stars that are part of it, until you end up at the edge of our solar system, before finally arriving right back on Earth, exactly where you started. And this is the Fractal Universe, which I think could be a way of looking at the multiverse. Because even if in that moment everything looks identical across all timelines, just like a fractal, the events leading up to that moment and going beyond it could be very different for each timeline, just like we would expect for the multiverse. Now, this theory isn't really meant to give you any life-changing advice, but what is based on scientific fact. And if you had to take anything from it, it's just an understanding of how vast our reality is, and how, even as far as we've come as humans, there's still so much more to find out about it. So until next time, stay curious.
This video was brought to you by Umoja Urban Culture. Umoja Urban Culture is a store based in South Africa that specializes in Rasta wares and accessories. For more information, you can visit the store website at www.umojaurbanculture.co.za.